Hey guys, welcome to How to Get into Residency Like a Boss workshop. And whether you're a medical student or an international medical graduate, this is the place to be to learn everything that you need to know about the residency application process. I'm Dr. Khan, also known as a female doc, and I have been doing this for like 11 years now. I have been behind the scenes for a really long time, all the way from medical school applicants, residency applicants, fellowship applicants. I've been through the whole gamut. I've been doing this at various teaching institutions across the country. And some of my best friends are program directors now. So I know just a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes during this whole residency and fellowship application process, because they're pretty much the same. But this is going to be the first in a number of training videos that I have created just for you guys to really help you achieve the results that you're trying to get and to really learn what goes on to getting into the residency program of your choice. So how do you actually do that? So how do you get into the residency of your choice and have a successful match? Well, I'm going to show you in this video today strategy. So that is the big key to having a set plan in place. You always want to come up with a strategy. Now, I didn't always have a strategy or know exactly what I was doing. I kind of unknowingly came across my own strategy. And it was about 2007. And I was a fresh fourth year med student, and I had to make a decision on where I was going to apply really quickly. And I knew I always liked internal medicine, but I took a neuroradiology elective and completely fell in love. And then I was left even more confused and just completely blown away that I had been planning and wanting to go into internal medicine. And I had all these options with subspecialties with internal medicine, but all of a sudden now I'm falling in love with radiology. Like, I was just so completely confused. The other thing too was my board scores were competitive for internal medicine, but I didn't really plan for radiology. But all of a sudden my heart was just calling me to radiology. Now, this is where we really dig in. So pay attention to this. These were the strategies that I used to be able to get into my number one residency choice. And I have never looked back. I have always been so happy with that decision that I made. So first of all, my biggest umbrella overarching point is to be realistic. Now, radiology was a Hail Mary for me because of my board scores. And although I did manage to get really great letters of recommendation, write a great personal statement, I did not want to leave the state of California. And that almost also told me like a little bit about how much I really wanted radiology. Although I thought I really wanted it, I didn't want to sacrifice moving away from my family for that particular subspecialty. So I guess that should have told me a little bit something. But what I ended up doing was applying to both specialties. I applied to internal medicine programs and radiology programs here in the state of California. But what you can't do, because it's kind of frowned upon, is apply to both programs at the same hospital. Please do not do that. That is so awkward because people talk, residents talk, they see each other all the time. The whole hospital at a teaching facility is just one big team. And I'm sure you guys have noticed that during your rotations and observations. So it was imperative that I didn't apply to radiology programs at the same place that I was applying to internal medicine ones. So what I did was there were a couple of internal medicine residency programs that I wasn't super impressed with, But they also had really good radiology residencies, and that's where I did my radiology rotations. So I just sacrificed applying to internal medicine at that particular hospital because I had a lot of other options to choose from, especially my first choice program. So that is the biggest thing. Don't do that. You're going to look like a weirdo. So I only actually ended up applying to about three radiology programs, but I applied to 24 internal medicine residency programs. Why? Because I was realistic. I knew the statistics. I'm a huge data girl, so like I geek out on this stuff. So I knew what was going on in these programs and what average board scores were, things like that. Those things are really, really important. And then creating a priority list for yourself. So here were my top 3 priorities for selecting a residency program. Number 1, like I mentioned, was location. I had to stay within the state of California because of my family. This was just at the top of my list. So that's why I didn't even apply to other programs. But I was able to make that a priority because I did have competitive board scores for internal medicine. So depending on what your board scores are and how competitive it is, you can decide how you want to prioritize things. Because remember, our umbrella theme for today is to be realistic. The last thing you want to do is end up in the scramble. And being realistic can actually mean applying to 2 different specialties. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, you can totally do it, you just don't do it at the same hospital. It's frowned upon. So my second most important thing was to be at a really high quality teaching institution. Now, what that meant to me was not prestige. I didn't care if I was at Harvard or Stanford or whatever. I'm sure that they're like really great training programs, but that was not my number 1 priority. My number 1 priority was to learn from really advanced and really critically ill patients. I knew I wanted to go into critical care, so what program was going to provide me with a high level of complicated patients? And that was going to be the county hospitals. Okay, so at county hospitals, they are usually in underserved areas. There's a lot of patients who are uninsured. And what this ends up meaning is that these patients wait. They don't see their doctor basically until they're on death's door. So the first time that they've seen a doctor in like 5-10 years is when they hit the hospital with a thyroid storm or something crazy, myxedema coma, these kind of things that you only read in textbooks and think that are really rare, but in a county facility hospital, they show up all the time. So you get an experience and learning from patients that you wouldn't get otherwise. So that was another thing that I had to factor in. What I ended up doing was debating between 2 county hospitals. So there was the Los Angeles County Hospital at USC, and there was the San Bernardino County Hospital, Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, which was associated with Western University at the time. And I think they still have some associations. But I was debating between those 2 programs. Now, my third criteria was the quality of attendings, teamwork, and what the residents actually had to say about the program. Now, the San Bernardino County Hospital had only 4 spots per year when I was applying. Now that program has expanded and it's much larger, but it was only 4 spots compared to the Los Angeles County Hospital, which had like 54 spots, I think, at the time. So I'm debating between a tiny county program versus a large county program. Now, the large county program had its advantages, but I kind of liked the family feel of that small program. So that's why that really ended up being my number 1 choice. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that if I didn't have this strategy, then I would have ended up applying to like a million different programs, not knowing what I was looking for, not asking the right kind of questions. So the first thing you need to do is identify what's important to you and create a strategy in applying, or you're just literally going to waste your time. Now, here is one of my secrets. Actually, I have two secrets for you. So my first secret is that the AAMC now publishes all of their residency data. So you can actually get average board scores, standard deviations, things like that, that can really help you figure out how many programs to apply to, what's your rate of return, what are your chances. And this is what I mean by being realistic. Don't make decisions based on opinions, things that you see on medical forums like Student Doctor Network or blog articles. Don't even make decisions on my own opinion and my story, because my story is based on my data, my board scores. What you need to do is make decisions and make priorities based on your own data. And this is actually public information. It's kind of complicated to go through the data, but it's totally doable. I'm a nerd medical researcher, so that's kind of my thing. That's what I do. And that's what I help my students with, actually. So my medical students right now that I'm working with, we've been having a lot of fun kind of digging through the data, going through standard deviations, figuring out where their MCAT scores, their GPAs fall in line. So that is something that you can totally do to create a strategy, and people are doing it. Now, my second secret, and this one's specifically for international medical graduates. This is like one of the biggest tips that you guys can do, is to actually dig in and find programs where people like you are at. So most international graduate programs are going to be on the East Coast. And actually, I'll give you a very specific example for Caribbean students. So Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, the San Bernardino County Hospital that I did residency at, now has an affiliation with St. George's University. So a lot of students rotate through there. So guess what? A lot of the people, the students that they take into their residency program are St. George's graduates. That's perfect. That's where you want to go. That's where you want to put your time and your energy into. You want to find programs like that. So international medical graduates, you want to look at programs in certain friendly states like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Michigan. Those are just a few examples. And look into who they've taken in the past. Now, go one step beyond that and try to track down these residents and actually have a conversation with them. Find them on Facebook, find them on Instagram, use hashtags to track them down, get into their messenger boxes, and really start to have a conversation like, hey, how did you do it? What does the program director think? How do you guys work together? You know, ask all of these types of questions and really get to know the programs really well and what type of residents that they're actually looking for. Now at this point, I'm sure you guys are thinking like, oh, well, that's easy to say for you because you have these amazing board scores, and well, my board scores were crap, or I failed actually the first time that I took it and then I retook it, and so I'm not competitive for anything, so now what? Well, there's always going to be a strategy. You can always have a strategy. That particular type of strategy is going to look different for everyone. And so someone in that particular position is going to look for programs where there's more forgiveness. Have other residents gone into these programs where they failed? There are success stories everywhere. So you just have to really dig in and research and find them on the internet. I didn't have that much access to all of this type of data, but I got all of this information through word of mouth. I did a ton of research on what was going on, what type of scores programs were looking for. And sometimes you just need to get on the phone too. People find that a little bit more awkward these days. So that's why I'm suggesting go on Facebook and Instagram, because I mean, social media is meant to be social. So you can start to ask questions like that, but make sure you're asking the right questions and you've done your homework and you're doing your background research, okay? And I know you guys are like, okay, well, that's just like one piece of the puzzle. And so that's why in the next video, I'm actually going to be talking about the importance of letters of recommendation and your personal statement. And then later on, we're going to get into interviews and how we're going to put like this whole thing together. And so these topics are going to be really important, and they're going to be upcoming in the next couple of days. I will definitely keep you guys posted and let you know when these videos are being released. But right now, I actually want to know a little bit more about you. So what does being able to get into residency mean to you? What does being able to prioritize what is meaningful to you and getting into that residency program of your number one choice, what does that mean? What will happen? How can your life change if you were able to achieve that? So please scroll down below this video and tell me in the comments below. And of course, if you like this video and found it useful, I would love if you clicked on the like button and shared this with all of your friends. But I really want to hear all about you. So remember to leave me those comments and I will definitely be replying back. Ask me any questions. Just tell me what it means to you to really get into that residency that you want to get into. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next video.